So we talked about the position of the player. Now let's talk about the time of judgment. We remember those three elements: time of judgment, position of the player. So time of judgment, okay, it's at the point in time that the ball touches or is played by one of his teammates, okay? So if a teammate kicks the ball to the player that's in offside position, then and that player is, if they're in offside position, that means that they're in the attacking zone. Okay, then an offside an offside infraction has occurred. Flag should go up. Play should be stopped. Okay, and if you recall, the restart for the other team is an indirect free kick from the point of the infraction. In other words, at the point at which the player who's offside became offside. Okay, that makes sense. So time of judgment is when the ball is touched or played, and played means kicked by head, chested, whatever legally is how you play play the ball from one teammate to the next. That's when the time of judgment is. That at that point in time. So as the assistant ref, you've got to be looking at two things at the same time, and that's difficult. One is the positioning of the player, and that's why you position yourself with the second to last defender. And then the second thing is looking at the ball to see when it's played by the teammate. Okay, so you've got to simultaneously look at those two things. Okay, and so that's a pretty difficult task that you'll learn to do over time, but that's what you need to do in order to correctly call an offside infraction. So let's talk about active involvement now. And on this slide, I actually like to talk about the third thing first, okay? Gaining an advantage by being in offside position. And gaining an advantage means couple things: that you run and kick the ball and try to score. Okay, if you're able to play the ball before any of the defenders are able to get to the ball because you were in offside position, then that's gaining an advantage. Another way to gain an advantage is you are in offside position, okay, and your teammate kicks the ball trying to score, and the ball glances off the goalpost, and you then come in and punch it home into the net, but you were in offside position at that point in time when your teammate kicked the ball trying to score. That is also gaining an advantage. Okay, so you've gained an advantage in your ability to play the rebound. And so that's gaining an advantage, and that's also an offside infraction. Okay, interfering with play means just that you're interfering with the opponents. And interfering with the opponent is maybe you're causing you're trying to purposely trying to shield the keeper. That's interfering with an opponent. Or maybe you're ahead and you're trying to stop a defender from making a play on the ball actively. Okay, that's interfering with an opponent. You can't do that by being in offside position. Otherwise, that is also an offside infraction. Okay, and I think this will be made a little bit more clear by some of the demonstrations and film that we might be having here going forward in this presentation. So again, all three of these conditions have to be met for there to be an offside infraction. Okay, positioning of the player, whether or not they're in offside position, meaning they're in the attacking zone and they're ahead of the second to last defender and they're ahead of the ball. Okay, time of judgment means at the point in time when the teammate, can't be an opponent, it's a teammate, plays the ball, kicks the ball, or touches the ball in your direction, okay, as the player in offside position. And then active involvement, interfering with play, interfering with an opponent, or gaining an advantage. All three of those, positioning, time of judgment, active involvement, all of them have to be present for there to be an offside infraction. And again, to review, the restart for a infraction, for an offside infraction, is an indirect free kick. Okay, so what happens is the assistant referee raises his or her flag straight up in the air. That indicates the offside infraction has occurred. Okay, then the center referee sees that the flag is up. They blow their whistle, okay? And then after the whistle is blown, the assistant referee lowers their flag, just partially lowers their flag. That indicates that the offside infraction occurred on the far side of the field from where the assistant is. Or if they lower it halfway, then that shows that the offside infraction occurred in the middle part of the field. Or if they lower it 3/4, then that shows that the offside infraction occurred in the near part of the field, nearest to the assistant referee. Okay, and from where the assistant is standing, that usually is where the offside infraction occurred on that plane across the field. So that's where the restart will occur. Okay, and that's important because let's say the offside infraction occurred right over the center line. Okay, so that is quite an advantage then for the team then taking the indirect free kick. Okay, because that's almost an offensive play for them from almost the halfway line. Whereas if the offside infraction occurred way closer to the goal, then that's not as much of an offensive opportunity for the team taking the indirect free kick. Okay, and so let's also review quickly indirect free kick. All that means is that the kicking team cannot score directly with the indirect free kick. The ball has to go off another player, either a teammate or an opponent. It has to touch another player before it can go into the net as a goal. Okay, that all makes sense. So I'm hoping this all makes sense because it's pretty complicated. I understand, especially for those of you that have never experienced soccer or never experienced the offside infraction. Okay. So let's talk about some situations where the offside rule is not in effect, okay? There are three of them, and only three. One is a goal kick. So if your team is taking a goal kick and somehow you can get an offside position if you're a teammate of the goalkeeper that's taking the goal kick, there's no offside on a goal kick, okay? Similarly, there's no offside on a corner kick. And the reason for that is even though the ball is placed in the corner arc or on the corner arc when taking a corner kick, it's deemed to be on the goal line. So therefore, you can't possibly be ahead of the ball if the ball is on the goal line. So therefore, there's no offside on a corner kick. And then the third exception is on a throw-in. There's no offside on a throw-in. However, as soon as the ball is played by whoever receives the throw-in, so in other words, let's say a kid throws the ball in, teammate gets the ball and kicks it directly to a player that's in offside position, then that's offside, okay? Because the player who got the ball in offside position got it from a teammate who kicked it to him, not from the throw-in, even though the original play was the throw-in, okay? It's just whoever receives the ball from a throw-in. As soon as the ball is now back in play and played by somebody, then the offside rule is back in existence, okay? So what's not on this list? One glaring thing is a free kick. For any free kick, indirect or direct free kick, the offside rule is in effect. So you can be offside on a free kick, all right? And that can occur quite often, particularly in the older players, U12 and U14.